Make sure it's working here. All right, always the technical stuff, right? Making sure everything's showing up. Let's see. Okay, go. Perfect, so we should be live. Let me check in the group right now. Looks like we are. Awesome, so we're up and running.
Perfect.
And we've got, let's see, quite a few people watching. Perfect, so I guess we'll jump right into it. This is Chip Barkel, and Chip, would you mind introducing yourself to the group?
No. I'm Chip Barkel. I'm a realtor in Toronto with Chestnut Park Real Estate. And I've been a realtor for about 4.5 years.
Okay, awesome. So you're in Toronto. What's the market like up in Toronto? What's the market like up in Toronto right now?
The market is kind of hot, although it's moderated a bit in the last year or so. If they're priced right, days on market are about 20, 21. Things sell often with multiple bids. Even the rental market, there's multiple bids all over the place.
That's great. So you are really dominating your market in your area with something called sendout cards.
Correct.
Awesome. So do you want to give us a brief overview?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I said, do you want to give us a brief overview of that? What sendout cards is?
Yeah, it's a system to build and nurture relationships, and that's sort of the elevator speech. So it helps you build new relationships and nurture existing relationships. One of the most, and you can do that through sending a stock card, much like you would get from a Hallmark card store, but you can modify them, add photographs, and add your own message, or a completely custom card. So I could, let's say you just had a baby, I could take a picture of you and your new family and baby and congratulations. And since that has your picture and your children on the front of it, you're never going to throw that card away.
Right.
And people appreciate it. It seems very simple. In the beginning, I was skeptical, but I think part of the effectiveness is that it is the simplicity. If that makes any sense.
That does make sense. So, I guess how simple is it really?
You're breaking up just a bit. Can you repeat that?
I said, how simple is it really? Is it still breaking up a little bit?
It is, yes.
Okay, hang on. Let me see what we can do here. Make sure I've got everything else shut off. Okay. How's that? A little bit better?
It's much better, thank you.
Perfect. So how simple is it really to do all this?
How simple is it to use it? Is that what your question was?
Yeah.
It's very simple. That doesn't mean, some people find the system in the very beginning a little bit, confusing, but it's kind of like riding a bike. Once someone's shown you the basics, you're off and running. It's very intuitive. Drag and drop, very simple. So you can, you can do, send one of 3 kinds of cards. You can send a single send card to celebrate somebody that's sent immediately. So that's something that's a custom card, that I'm addressing to you, and nobody else has gotten that card. Or a scheduled card. Let's say the middle of the month, I usually go in and say, who has a birthday next month? Find 20, 25 people. I have a campaign set up for a birthday card. And inside there's a keyword first name. So it'll say, Matt, happy birthday, Jim, Pat, whoever it's getting the card. And they're scheduled sends because they're scheduled to be sent in time for the birthday. Or groups, with one card sent to 50 or 100 people. Very simple.
So you mentioned there were 3 different types of sends. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. Can you maybe give us an overview on what those 3 types of sends are?
Sure. The first type is a single send card, or some people refer to it as a heartfelt card, although I like to think all of the cards I send are heartfelt. So a single send card's never been saved or sent before. You sit there on your computer, you say, I'm going to do a card for Matt, and thank him for doing the show. write a message, put in some personal photographs, and send it off. A scheduled card is a future dated card. So you can, let's say you just sold a house and you know it's going to close in 3 months, you could schedule the card to go out automatically, or the first year anniversary, a year from now, happy anniversary in your new home. Or the third type is a group send, where a lot of people use this for farming, where you have one card that's sent out to 50, 100 people, or it could be more. I send out a New Year's card that way. I send out a Happy Spring card to about 125 people. In the summer, we do an ice cream card because it's kind of fun. And then sometimes at the holidays, Thanksgiving or Christmas. So where the same card is going to go out.
Okay. So it's some of it is actually set up ahead of time where it's not so unique in the moment.
Some of them, like the group sends, can be. Like the New Year's card. I know, we all know New Year's is coming.
Yeah.
It's just a way to say, Happy New Year, thinking about you. And that's not really, most of the cards I send are to celebrate people, thank people, congratulate them. It's not marketing. Although my branding is on the back of every card.
Right.
It's just, hey, I'm here thinking of you. How are you doing?
Okay. That's great. Let's see here. I've got some of the examples that you sent me.
Sure.
Let me see if I can pull those up.
While you're doing that, I'll just mention that I've had 26 referrals since the first of the year. In fact, I'm waiting on 2 more. As somebody said, it's kind of in the works, and that totals about $31 million worth of lead gen. And I always measure lead gen. I use my lead gen because, if somebody refers me to 2 people and it doesn't work out, the next 1 or 2 or 3 might. So I'm not, I count lead gen, or some of them are in process and, may bleed into next year. That's fine. It's pipeline. If nothing is going into the pipe, you can't expect anything to come out of the pipe.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. So you've generated, you said over 30 million this year already. Yeah. Wow. That is pretty crazy. And I believe I've got the screen share going now. So let me pull up the folder that I'd created earlier. And maybe you can walk us through. Right now I'm looking at, let's see. Today's kind of a big deal. Life should not only be lived once, it should be celebrated.
Yeah, can you show that? I can't see it.
Let's see. You guys, are you able to see that where I'm showing it right now or not?
Not yet.
Okay. Let's see.
The one you're referring to is my birthday campaign. So that's the one where I'll go in and say, okay, who has an August birthday? Who has a September birthday? Fine. Usually I have 20 to 25 people. And then I'll send that card out as a birthday card.
So let's see here.
We can expand that a little bit. We might be able to.
Yeah, it looks like I opened half a dozen tabs here to try and get that. Okay, there we go. So let's see. If we do it like this, and then I'll be able to pull that up. There we go.
Yeah, that's the front. That's a 2-panel card. So it's the front, inside left, and inside right. So today's kind of a big deal. Life should be not only lived but celebrated. Inside it would say, Matt, today we celebrate you. Celebrate being happy, etc., etc. Happy birthday, all the best, Chip. And then on the back would be my branding. I use about 10 different brands depending on who I'm sending it to and what my mood happens to be.
Okay.
That's one card.
That makes sense. So let's see. So that's the birthday card.
Unisex, so I can send that to anybody.
Right. So here's another one.
This next one is actually last year's birthday card. I change it up so people don't get the same birthday card every year.
Okay.
And depending on who it is, if I have enough time, I'll go in and put a little cameo of their photograph. So this is a friend that runs a pizza restaurant. I had a picture of him making a pizza. And this is an example where he shared on social media saying, thank you. He's got 5 kids. There's 7 of them all together. So I sent him the birthday card with 8 brownies. So everybody would get one. So wow. That's why made mention of thanks for the card and the mountain of brownies.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and,
So,
you know, he mentioned I put one in each of the kids' lunches, and you know, so he gave me a shout out on Facebook, which was nice.
that is good. Now, with these cards, they're pretty unique. Are you seeing quite a bit of people shouting them out on Facebook after they get them?
Absolutely. Yeah. My plumber, I sent him a card, and of course, I don't know how often a plumber gets a card with tools of his trade on the front.
Right.
But we had a bad ice storm last winter, and he put on Facebook, you know, thanks so much, Chip. I just got home after, you know, a white knuckle drive in the ice and snow, and what a treat to come home to. So it was really appreciated. I've
Oh,
also
that's
had
awesome.
I've also had phone calls from tradesmen in tears because, you know, plumbers, drywall, taper guys, I don't know how often people thank them. So the one guy was kind of a rough around the edges, you know, a drywall, plaster, tape guy. And he called me practically in tears saying, thank you so much. That was so kind of you. And the interesting thing is, out of all of those trades that I had working in my house, I did a renovation. When they asked for their address, we all got into a real estate conversation. They're thinking about selling,
Really?
they're thinking about buying. So you never know from age 23 up. So that wasn't my intention. I just said, can I get your address? But that's usually where it leads. This one is an ice cream card. A friend of mine is an artist, and she did the front. It's Mr. Softy.
Okay.
And then on the inside, I send this out for National Ice Cream Day, which is the third Sunday in July.
Hmm.
Summertime is for more than just enjoying an ice cream cone or two. It's a great time to get your house busy for the busy fall market. So this is one of the exceptions where it's really marketing, but it's kind of a soft sell. You know, it's fun and, you know, free ice cream with every listing appointment. And when I go on a listing appointment, I'll take a Dairy Queen gift card for, you know, $15 or so. Oh,
Okay.
you're the ice cream guy. You know, it's always well received.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, with the ones that we're going through, do you remember the results that you've picked up off of each individual one, or?
Well, the pizza guy is hard to
Yeah, that'd be
separate, even find out because one night I was in his restaurant and he introduced me to a friend who's a builder.
Mhm.
So I sat with him, had pizza together, sent him a card, nice to meet you. That he called me and thanked me profusely. The very next day, he emailed, I have an investment property. Can you do the listing for me? I was like, absolutely. You know, so it's an email. 2 weeks
Wow.
later, I gave him a shout out on Facebook
Hmm.
because I was having dinner with my niece in the same restaurant. The very next day, another email from him introducing me to another builder friend of his who had a listing for me as well. And I ended up double ending that one. So after a while, when you're dealing with relationships, it's hard to measure the ROI
Right.
because it's all connected. You know, so
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, these are relationships that are being built and being able to provide ROI for years on the real estate
absolutely.
side, of course, as well as the friendship.
That's right. That's the idea. This card, this next card is I get my car detailed with a company that I started last year. I noticed they were across the street at my neighbors a couple times a week. They have two
Mhm.
cars, and believe it or not, they'd get each car done once a week,
Okay.
which is kind of crazy. So I've had them a few times last year and this year, and
Hmm.
the guy that does the car does a fabulous job. He's just, you know, he's here for 2 or 3 hours. Wonderful job. I also have a relationship with his boss, so I
Okay.
did a card thanking him for doing such a great job, and I sent a copy of this card to his boss as well. The first time he came to my house, he had only started working there 2 or 3 weeks before. So
Hmm.
I did another card and sent it to his boss saying, "What a great employee!" You know, it's just a good, nice thing to do. You know, we want to celebrate people that are doing a good job.
Absolutely. And these are great examples for what you can be using when you're sending out these send out cards. And if anybody has questions, go ahead and feel free to ask those in the comments while we're going, and we'll try and grab those either at the time or before the end.
People
So
often ask me the most successful ones. I did a Happy Spring card. I don't know if you have it there or not.
yeah, let's see.
Had daisies on the front. We'll go that one as well. This one
Okay.
is a name day card. I have a client that I share with someone else, and I had never actually met her. It was always through emails and phone calls. And finally got to meet her, and she's Greek. and they celebrate their name day. It's just as big as their birthday, bigger.
Yeah, my wife is Greek, so I'm familiar with that.
Well, I met her, and then the next day I had reason to go back and meet her again at her office, and her husband mentioned that it was her name day, and I was like, oh, I wish because I know about it, and I could have easily looked up. So when I was there, I said, isn't today October 26th? And she said, yeah. I said, well, today is your name day. And she looked at me like, how do you know that? You know, so I could have just said, you know what, it's going to be late. Too bad. You know, I wish I would have thought of it. So I went home and I did the card anyway. This is the god that's Demetrius, which is for her name day. And inside, I just put Greek letters, happy name day, put her name, and said, sorry, this is late, but hope you had a great day. You know, very simple. They're not going to win Nobel Prizes. And she called me and said, thank you so much. Where did you ever find a card like that? And I said, oh, no, I made that specially for you. I said, that's a custom card. So she was really impressed. 2 months later, she emailed me. Now, keep in mind, she actually belongs to another agent. We kind of share. She emailed me on New Year's Eve and said, I want to help my daughter buy a house. Can you start looking? And within a month, we had purchased a house for the daughter. So, you know, I attribute it to this card. I had never met her before. You know?
Right.
You know, it worked. You know, and I didn't do it with that in mind. I just did it to celebrate. Like, hey, it's your birthday. It's your name day. And while I was there, I'm talking about the name day. She said, well, it's not the same as birthday. And I said, well, when is your birthday? It's in June. So, of course, I made a note of it in my CRM so that I make sure you get a birthday card as well.
That is so awesome. Like, I'm loving these. They're so unique versus what everybody else sends out with, you know, the Every Door Direct or basic mailers and stuff like that. These are very, very unique, I guess would be the best way to say it.
Yeah, people often say, oh, they're mailers. And I was like, well, they come in the mail, but they're not really what you think of with mailers.
Right.
This one is for Veterans Day. In Canada, we call it Remembrance Day.
Okay.
So it's for veterans, right? So I have a dozen or so World War II veterans in my farm. And the poppy is the symbol in Canada for Remembrance Day. And it just says, lest we forget. I can't read the rest of it, but basically, thank you for your service.
Yes.
And on the back, I have my branding. This is an example of the branding on the back. I support wounded warriors. That was appropriate to share on a card like this. And one of my clients got this card, and he said to me, you know, I'm 91 years old. I mean, he had tears in his eyes. He said, I've never, ever gotten a card like this. And I said, well, it's overdue. And thank you for your service.
Wow. That's crazy. I mean, it's just, for us, it's just a postcard as real estate agents, but really for the people that are receiving them, you know, a lot of thought's gone into it and they take it so personally, which is really something that you don't see with a lot of forms of generating business.
This is another one. I went to visit a very elderly woman who's still living in her house by herself. And I said, how are you doing? And she said, well, how do you think I'm doing? I have weak heart and I have trouble breathing and I'm 97 years old, you know. And I kind of realized she's probably been kind of cranky for, 50 years. So I went away thinking, it was late March. I thought I'm going to send her a happy spring card, just something to cheer her up. So I did this card and I thought, I could send this out to more than just her. She happens to be a war bride, so I included the wounded warriors in the back. I sent it to about 115 people, just people that I thought, my farm, my sphere. And it just said springtime is, spring is sprouting kind of thing. Flowers will be blooming. It was still early days, like even though the calendar says spring in Canada, it's still cold. But I want to make it as cheery as possible. And then I got a text actually from somebody who got in this card saying, what a beautiful card. I really need the cheering up in this cold weather. And I was going to text her back and I thought, well, let me pick up the phone. So I called her and she asked me, it was the day before Easter. And she said, what are you doing tomorrow? And I said, well, nothing. And she said, well, come for dinner. So I went for dinner and she told me that her niece was looking for a realtor. And I said, well, I'll give you a call. So I ended up getting a buy and a sell, which the buy was for about 900,000. The sell was for about 750,000. I got 2 more referrals, 2 million, and what was the other one? 750, and a sign call for the one referral was 500 condo, and I also signed all from that one card. So that my intention was just to cheer up, you know, the one old lady, but
Yeah.
you know, spread the cheer kind of thing.
That's so unique. I love it. And so with stuff like this, I mean, I just can't help but can't get over the fact that like this is not market updates. You know, everybody tells us we have to send market updates and market reports, and
Well,
you know, just listeds.
Yeah, I do those too. I do a monthly newsletter as well. I also send out just listed, just sold. But this is the one thing that I can definitely say I've gotten a huge amount of business. You know, I've gotten a little bit here and a little bit there from other things. But when I started doing this, as I told you earlier, within 2 weeks of starting Send Out Cards, I sent another Happy Spring card to someone who was a gardener, and I ended up listing her house for $2.5 million. And so the commission was about $56,000. So that will pay for my cards for the next 84 years. So,
Oh my goodness.
Just Happy Spring. I was driving down the street one day and I thought, you know, she's a gardener. It's late March. She's probably itching to get in the garden, and I'm going to send her a Happy Spring card. And I did, and she called and thanked me profusely. It's one thing about seniors; they're very polite, and you know, will call you and thank you. That's the thing, is you're not calling them; they're calling you. You know, and so it's already warm. You know, so it's like, oh, thank you so much. You know, that you shouldn't have, or that was very kind of you. It's like, oh, I'm happy to. You know, how are you? You know, so it was, and then suddenly in that conversation, she said, you know, a realtor knocked on my door, and they want to buy our house for $1.9 million for a builder. And I said, well, to be perfectly honest, that's not a bad price. Is it the best price? We'll only know if we market your home appropriately. And then she went into, well, my husband and I have been here for 60 years, 60. We've never sold a house. Can you come and talk to us? Absolutely. So we marketed the home. We sold it for 2.25 million. So they got 350,000 more. I initially said to them, even if you only get 50,000 more, where I come from, that's a lot of money.
Right.
So they got $350,000 more, and it was the same realtor that brought the 2.25 buyer as knocked on the door for 1.9 million. So the same realtor. So they certainly made out.
That's great.
Yeah, 60 years. So yeah, that's, you know, so again, it's you know, send the card, give to give, and then they'll call you and you get in a conversation. And sometimes that call doesn't come for 6 months. I had somebody who, you know, I sent a card to, and 6 months later she called me and said, my neighbor sold her house. Can you tell me what it sold for? And I said, yeah, it was almost $4 million. And she said, oh, you better come and talk to my husband and me. I think it's time to kind of think, you know, talk about this seriously. So this is an example. Yeah, thank you. This is an example of a card with buyers that just bought through me. I met them, so the picture on the inside of the card, I span the whole inside of the card, is the house they bought. I met them on a Tuesday night at 7 p.m. and by noon the next day we were under contract. So it all happened very fast. And the front house on the front of the card where it says thank you is the house that they were going to sell. And I just said, focus on the dream, not the journey. Thank you so much for helping me. You know, helping you to realize your dream. You know, good luck in your home, kind of thing. And then this is another example in the back with the branding with the that's Toronto City Hall. You know, at the time.
That's great. And so, I mean, you're sending it out even after they'd already worked with you. It's kind of a thank you like that.
Yeah. And I'll send a thank you when they sign the contract, and I'll send a thank you when they close. And then on the anniversary, I'll send a card as well. Like, you know, can you believe it's a year already? And you know, talk about, sometimes I've been to the house to see updates and things like that.
That's great. And a couple of people were asking, what is this? Well, this is Send Out Cards, and I've got the link right below the videos right there, where you can actually get the information, and we'll go into the pricing on that real quick if you don't mind, Chip. But I've got your link right below the video, so if anybody has any questions, just go to sendoutcards.com/Chip Barker. Or Barkel. Yep. And that's where you can actually purchase this. So
can you bring the maybe you're going to. Yeah, if you can make that a little bigger. The nice thing about this is you can sign up for whatever plan suits you. They have a free plan where it doesn't cost you anything at all to join. You're going to pay per card, and I think it's about $2.75 per card. You're going to do a custom card with photos. I think there's $1 extra premium on that. And of course, you pay for postage as you would. But even at whether it's $2.75 or $3.75, it's still cheaper than a Hallmark card, a card you buy in the store, and you're making it personal to them.
Well, and I think that's the thing to remember. Like, if you're trying to compare this to a mailer, when you look at that free card, it looks quite a bit more expensive. But the difference is, these are personal cards. These are, like you said, a Hallmark card, something that you would go and purchase. Except for now, you can make it more custom to the person that you're sending it to, which obviously is having a much greater effect than just sending a standardized card.
It does. In fact, somebody told me, always date your cards. And I try to, I don't, sometimes I don't. And I said, well, why would I want to date the card? And they said, because people won't throw them away. And I was like, well, what do you mean they're not going to throw it away? It's a greeting card. Of course they're going to throw it away. But then you do a really personal card and think, well, there's no way I'm never going to throw that away. Like, I was talking to a guy who was kind of interested in the cards. And I called him and he said, dude, this is really a bad time. My girlfriend just had a baby a couple of days ago. My in-laws are here. I said, you just had a baby? Like, it was a girl or a boy? And he was like, you could hear the pride through the phone. I had a son. It's like, wow, what's his name? And so he told me, so I hung up. I said, look, you need to deal with that. That's way more important. I'll be around, when you're ready. So I hung up and I created a baby card with the baby's name on the front. Went to his Facebook page, and there was a wonderful picture on his cover photo of him kind of cuddling in bed with the baby. And it was really like a nice, tender picture. So I spanned the whole inside of the card with that picture and just said, love has a new name today. Well, he called me, and he was like, this is so great. Thank you. And I just met him last week, and we had dinner. And I asked him, and I said, do you still have the card? He said, absolutely. I'm never going to throw that card away. It's a keepsake. And the other piece of that is that you don't plan on this, but if people have cards on their fridge or their bulletin board or their bookcase, when their friends come over, they're going to pick it up and look at it and say, oh, what's this? Oh, my realtor sent me that. Your realtor sent you this card? Wow. They turn it over and there's your branding. So they wouldn't do that with your business card. They're not going to display your business card in their home. So it's not why you do it, but I look as a bonus.
Yeah.
So that's the free card. $1 a month allows you to buy pay as you go, but a little cheaper rate. And then you're going to save, I think it's 10 or 15% on gifts like cookies and brownies that you can send with the cards.
Wait. So you didn't have to cook the brownies yourself. You were able to.
That's right.
Pick them
the
up,
brownies are really popular. Like the guy that did my car wash, he's about as fit as they come. He said he works out. He's been working out 5 days a week for 5 years. He hasn't missed one day yet. I'm like, wow. So I said to him, I wasn't sure whether to send you brownies because you're so fit. He said, no, I love them. In fact, I need more brownies. So it's a treat, right? So you can do brownies, cookies, stuffed animals. There's dozens, and maybe even hundreds of gifts that you can send with it. The brownies are the most popular, although I send cookies sometimes too, just for variety. So with the $17 plan, you're going to save, I think it's 10 or 15% on those gifts. Also, there's a CRM that comes with the program, and the $17 level, you get access to the full CRM behind the scenes. So you can load in contacts, things like that.
Oh, wow.
Then for $97, this is where the single send, those heartfelt cards, that you can send an unlimited number of those cards for $97, including postage, which is crazy. So the break-even point there is about 35 cards. So it's not much more than one card a day. I always say, if you can't think of one person every day to celebrate in your database, you have bigger problems.
Wait, so unlimited single card sends. I guess I'm looking at that thinking, wait, so I could send a card could I send a single card to as many people as I want, even if it was 250 people a month?
That wouldn't be a single card. One card to you, another card to somebody else, another. So that card is unique to them. I haven't saved it and resent it. So that's the idea. Is I'm going to sit down. I'm going to say, Matt, thank you so much, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Or, if I went on a listing appointment, I'll take a picture of their house, sit down, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to explain my services. In the 60-year, the old couple that was there 60 years, I said, I understand 60 years is a long time and this is a big decision. When you're ready, I'd be honored to represent you, something like that. So it's really unique to that person. So think of them as one-offs.
Right, but you could send as many of those one-offs as you want. Like if you went on
unlimited
100 listing appointments, you could do that listing card, but it wouldn't be obviously the same one, but you'd make a one-off for each of those listing appointments, and you could send all of those for that $97 a month, and that includes stamps.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
Yes. So it's really crazy.
That's impressive.
Yes.
So if you go to the 97 plan, it pays for you to actually focus on doing 1, 2, or 3 of these every day.
Well, exactly, because you think, well, I've already paid for them, so if one day is break even, then 2 or 3 cards, these are like free cards.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you earn loyalty points. So you can every month you get 10 group sends free. So that a group send might be 1 card to 2, 3, 4, 5 people. And they accumulate from month to month. So I know some people save them up and they use those as their Christmas cards, so they're free, to send out. Then for the highest level, the 147 a month, you get everything you get on the 97, but you get 100 group sends every month. So if you're going to send 100 cards that you paid for, you're on the free plan, that would be $275. So you're paying $50 to send 100 cards. For those, you do pay the postage, but the single sends are still postage free.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
let's see. Now, with this, full disclosure, I guess I know SendoutCards has some sort of a incentive program for growing their platform, I think. Is that the best way to say that?
You can sign up purely as a customer and get on a plan and send cards, and just like going to a card store, pay for the cards and send the cards. Or you can be a referral partner and earn a commission. In simple terms, about 20%. So, on a $275 card, it's about 55 cents commission, so it's not that much. In the beginning, I wasn't going to do that. I thought, I'm a realtor, I can't be bothered. But then I thought, well, chances are at some point somebody's going to ask me, how can I do this? And if it can help pay for for itself, like there's very few marketing programs pay for themselves. So I thought, why not? So I decided to do that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow. So, and you have, I guess you would say a training system or a training program where you go over a lot of this information in a private group once somebody signs up under your name. Is that how that works?
Yeah, well, I do a couple of different things. I usually do a one-on-one demo with people, because sometimes people go to the website and they think I'm trying to figure it out. Or they might say, I'm not sure whether I should get the $97 plan or the $147. So usually I just say, let's get onto a Zoom call, and I can show you how it works, and we can answer your questions. But then once people have signed up, I have an exclusive group for my people. And it's a way of sharing cards, building community within my team, and also training as well. So SendoutCards, in fact, just yesterday, launched a whole new training site to help people get started. So it's there's a lot of support, and that's why you want to sign up under somebody, because they're going to be your coach, your mentor, your go-to support person. I get lots of calls from people saying, I signed up for SendoutCards, but it's my daughter's gymnastic coach, and I'm a realtor. Can you help me? And I was like, well, there's 1.5 million people using SendoutCards. Like, I have a business to run. I can't help everybody, but I'm happy to help the people that are on my team.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And I know, I think when I first heard about SendoutCards, it was probably about 5 years ago. And I think at that point, you weren't able to even sign up on your own. You had to have a referral link.
Oh, okay. Well, now if you go out on your own, it'll ask you, do you want to sign up under somebody? So you could type in Chip and find me in the list and click and say, yeah, I want to be under Chip. Every once in a while, I'll get somebody sign up that way saying, who's this person? They're a stranger.
Right.
That's kind of nice. They can do that. Other people sign up kind of as orphans, where they don't have a sponsor. And then they're kind of floundering around. The company really prefers you to have a sponsor so that you can help them out. It's like a buddy system.
Makes sense. So I guess what are your favorite things about send out cards, or what have brought you in the most results that someone could, let's say they signed up today and they could start doing right away that has worked for you?
The thing that worked for me is, like I said, that following a prompting. 2 weeks after I started sending cards, I drove down somebody's street and I thought, I'm going to send her a card. It's spring, right. She's a gardener, and why not? It's kind of, and sure enough, that led to a huge sale. Ironically, my Happy Spring card this year also brought in a few deals. It's really kind of following your gut or the promptings. Or if I've had a chance to have dinner with somebody, I'll take a picture and send them a card saying, thank you so much for meeting me for dinner or for lunch or whatever it happened to be. This one builder that I met at the pizza place, I just did a nice to meet you card. I went to Facebook and got a picture from his Facebook and said, really nice to meet you last night at the pizza place. And I referenced our conversation. He had told me he lost 100 pounds. He was having salad. I was having pizza.
Oh, wow.
So I referenced that. I was like, you look great. I included brownies. I said, I apologize for the cheap treats, but I think after 100 pounds, you deserve a little treat. And he was just thrilled. He called me like a kid on Christmas. Thank you so much. That was so kind. I thought, well, it's just a card and brownies,
Right.
He was just ecstatic. And like I said, he gave me a listing right away, which that listing went live today. And I've also have an offer going in today for him as well. So,
wow.
It's and one card, that card cost me, $1 or $2, $1.50. I don't even know. Because I send probably 125 cards a month, something like that. So, it's it's a minimal amount considering not only did he, a listing and a buy offer, and then he introduced me to the other builder, and I double-ended that deal. So that one card was kind of exploded, went viral, if you will.
Wow.
Other cards that have been really successful.
And somebody asked if they're not in your group, they can't learn from you. So I guess the key is if you signed up right now today under the sendoutcards.com/Chip Barkel, is that correct? They would you would get a notification that they signed up underneath you?
I would, and I would get in touch with them and say, okay, how can I help you? And I would get started with them right away. Yeah, it's like I said, it's really a question of bandwidth. I have a business to run. I can only help so many people, so it's not about being difficult. So,
right.
And the company does not want them to be on their own. They want them to be looked after.
Right, and if they join your group once they have signed up or whatnot, then they'd be able to find out a lot of that information, I assume.
Oh, absolutely. And then also, I post cards that I've sent, on there to say, hey, I look at the heartfelt card, or this scheduled card, or there's a group send, and other people do the same thing that are from my group, just for inspiration and ideas. One of the questions that kind of I find a little annoying, it's my hot button, is that people say, well, how do you get their address? And I was like, well, I ask. No one has ever refused me. And just last week, I was at a friend's place in Florida, and he said a friend of his was coming over for a drink, and we were going out for dinner. So 5 minutes after this guy arrived, I said, let me take a picture of the two of you. And I took the picture, and I said, John, what's your address? And he gave me his address, and I said, and what's your last name? He gave me his last name, put my into the system. He didn't say, well, why do you want my address, or what? He was only too happy to give it to me. So these are not strangers, right? They're
right.
Walking up somebody in the street. So just ask.
That's great. That's great. And that's the truth of it. A lot of times people don't even ask for the sale and they wonder why they don't have business,
That's right. That's right.
Let's see. So somebody says, I already have send out cards. Could they still join the group?
No, it really is my team. There are many groups in Facebook for send out cards that they can find, dozens of groups to join. But my group is an exclusive group for my team.
Okay, good to know. So with the send out cards, you said you're sending out about 125 a month?
Yeah, something like that. About 1,600 a year.
Okay. So what are you spending on send out cards in order to bring in? I mean, you've said you've brought in over 30 million in volume generated this year already.
I have to go back and really look. Well, it's a minimum of 147 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And then I send brownies probably 30% of the time. And if I send brownies, they're going to cost me $4 for the brownies and about $5 for the postage. So let's call that $10. Mm-hmm. So I don't really know. It's a couple of hundred, maybe $250 a month, something like that.
Which is not bad at all for the kind of return that you're bringing back.
I much prefer looking at the value rather than the cost.
Exactly. It's an investment more so than a cost.
Exactly.
That's
and then
fantastic.
Sometimes people will say to me, well, what's your ROI? And it's like, well, how do you measure ROI on a relationship? And there's one woman that I met delivering postcards 4 years ago. I'd sold her neighbor's house. We got in a conversation. She's been getting my newsletter for 4 years, birthday cards, Christmas cards. Last October, I knocked on her door with a small pumpkin as a pop-by. And she was like, oh, come in, come in, come in. She said, you know, next June, I'm going to be 90. I said, yeah, June 30th. And she said, I think I'm ready to sell. Now, she built that house in 1948, so 70 years. So, was it the pumpkin? No, of course it wasn't the pumpkin. I built a relationship over time, so it was all of it.
That makes sense. Wow. So these are really more of a relationship building tool long term.
Exactly.
That's great. Well, any other last minute things that you'd like to throw out there that maybe people should know if they're going to do this or anything like that?
Yeah. The one thing that people often say is, I don't have that many people in my database, so I'm going to wait until I say, no. This will help you build your database. You meet people on a daily basis, send them a nice to meet you card. You see an old friend, you get their address, send them a card, nice to see you again, get caught up. It's called send out cards for a reason. It only works if you send the cards out. So I know it sounds simple and silly, but it's true. I was skeptical in the beginning. I watched it for a long time and heard all these other stories of people that were doubling and tripling their income. And I thought, well, what do you have to lose? So I started using it. And like I said, within a couple of weeks, I was getting business. And I was like, wow, this is great. And so, and people appreciate it. So it's a way of, there's a quote that I really like, and it's by Theodore Roosevelt, of all people. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. And send out cards shows them that you care.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Well, thank you so much for being on here with us. Thank you for giving out all the tips and information and even showing, some of your greatest cards. We really appreciate it. And if anybody has any questions, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
They can Google my name, Chip Barkel. I'm all over the place, or sendoutcards.com. That website, I'm not hard to find.
And you're in the group here.
That's right. That's right. So just send me a Facebook message. I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Chip.
Thank you, Matt. Nice to be on with you today.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Let's see if I can end this thing.